The Cosmere as we know it is a very different place than it was 20 millennia ago. Most of the investiture existed in a wholly different form, and some of the worlds we now know had yet to be created. This is all due to a very simple fact: the being known as Adonalsium had yet to be shattered. This single event, known as the shattering of Adonalsium, had effects that just changed the whole landscape, the way the Cosmere worked. It was the single most life-changing event to ever occur, at least as we are aware of. So let's explore all that in this video. I hope you shall enjoy it. The beginnings of the Cosmere are shrouded in mystery. All we know is that Adonalsium existed and that this being eventually created everything. It has been established that investiture always strives to gain sentience. We see it in Spren, in Sions. It all proves that any sufficient investiture will try to gain sentience, to be alive. This might just be a reflection of Adonalsium's intent, or it might explain how Adonalsium came to be and why this being felt this urge to create life in the first place. This is the baseline. Adonalsium made this universe. He watched civilizations rise as humans and other beings came to understand the world and their presence in it. One of the planets in this world was Yolen, a planet that is very different with an interesting architecture, some strange things happening. On this planet, a young boy called Sephandres looked up at the stars and wondered what they were. This boy would one day wander across the Cosmere doing shady stuff, as we know. His name is Hoid. Adonalsium also sculpted another world called Roshar, one you no doubt have a lot of experience with, since it's covered in the Stormlight archive. Some people worshipped Adonalsium as a god, while others did not. You know, it's the typical schism between science and religion. So this was the world as it existed then. We have no knowledge of the exact number of planets or worlds that were inhabited at the time, or the magic systems that existed. We really have no comprehensive account of life as it was in those days. This was long ago. But something happened. We don't know what set it off, but it is clear that some sort of doom was approaching. One of the intents of Adonalsium is ruin. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the Cosmere had an expiry date and an apocalypse was approaching. But some sort of doom was on the horizon, and the world would come to an end. The universe would come to an end. But this could not be allowed to happen. A collection of beings gathered together and decided that the only course of action that was left to them was to kill Adonalsium. To kill a god. How do you kill a god? The question is, how do you kill a god? During the creation of the Cosmere, Adonalsium used the 4 primal commands. We now call them the downshards. These 4 primal energies, the powers of creation themselves, and this is the weapon of choice that these gathered people used to shatter Adonalsium. This final confrontation took place at Yolen, and mind you, it wasn't just humans who were taking part in this. There were humans present, there were dragons present. You know one dragon, name's Frost, I know you've heard of the fellow, and Shodel. All of this rose up and they shattered Adonalsium. Adonalsium was a divine being, powerful as only a god can be. We know that shards have certain abilities, the perfect understanding of how investiture works, the ability to see the future, and other several powers that are granted to them in their godhood. All shards share this, so it's very possible that Adonalsium had looked into the future and seen its eventual demise. It might have struggled against this destiny, but eventually it succumbed to it. So Adonalsium was shattered, and the investiture within it split to 16 parts. This 16 shards, as they were called, were picked up by 16 of those present at the time. These people, humans, Shodel, and the dragons, the ones who picked up these aspects of Adonalsium, they ascended, became gods unto themselves. And this is the single most defining moment of the Cosmere. These shards represented aspects of Adonalsium: ruin, preservation, odium, ambition, cultivation, honor, autonomy, dominion, devotion, endowment, ambition, invention, whimsy, mercy, valor, and 2 more that are yet to be revealed. These shards scattered, rather, they went out into the Cosmere and did their own things. Some of them created their own worlds, created their own people. Others went to already inhabited worlds and sort of took over, while others just sowed chaos wantonly. One shard, this fellow is called Odium, divine hatred. He went on to splinter several of the other shards. His goal is to become the only god in the Cosmere, so he's going about it by killing all the others and rendering their powers useless so that they cannot be picked up by any other mortal. Many in the Cosmere regard this event, the shattering of Adonalsium and the subsequent godhood that resulted in the 16 shards. Many of the scholars in the Cosmere regard this event as a mistake. It has had repercussions that are unknown. The point is that we are quite wary of some of these shards, since by the very nature of the powers they hold, the mortals inside them are eventually they succumb to the intent of these shards. Take for example ruin, the shard of decay, of the shard that represents that divine nature of things to end, entropy. The man who held that shard was a very nice man, but by the time preservation was making his plans, ruin's nature had Ado's nature had changed to that of the shard itself, so that he sought to destroy everything, destroy the Cosmere and have it all end. In the 10,000 years since the shattering, the Cosmere has expanded significantly. The shards made new worlds, they invested in others, and others went off into rampages and killing sprees. New forms of investiture have risen due to the strange plots all over. It's a new world with new threats. That doesn't mean that it's any less dangerous. For in the cold recesses of space, in the breach between the realms of mind, body, and soul, there is an aspect of divinity, a divine hatred that yearns for the destruction of all things. Passion and hatred and emotion stirs within Odium. And somewhere else, that same weapon that killed a god still exists. These 4 down shards are scattered within the Cosmere, but they are somewhere. What havoc could they wreak upon the world if given the amount of power they hold? If there's one thing that holds true for any people, it's that no weapon ever lies dormant for too long. Eventually someone finds it, someone seeks it out and uses it. One day disaster shall fall again, because history tends to repeat itself. We don't know where things are heading, but things are heading somewhere.